Okay, so like I said, this is Grace Danick. I'm having trouble getting a picture to focus on myself, so I'm just going to do it this way. I am a middle school math tutor in Apex, North Carolina. I have previously done a video called Rational Numbers. It was part one. It was about adding and subtracting negative numbers. This is going to be primarily about this is part two, so it's going to be about multiplying and dividing negative numbers. So let's go ahead and get started. One thing or a couple things that I want to say that I may have skipped in the first video. Rational numbers means any number that can be put into a ratio, which means a fraction, which means some number divided by some other number. That's all that you need to be able to do in order to qualify as rational. So I gave you guys some examples in the other video, like -5, any whole number can be put over 1, so that makes it a fraction, 17 divided by 29, so on and so forth. But I forgot to mention decimals. Decimals qualify because anything that's after the decimal can be put into a fraction, and same thing with the front. So for instance, this here, 1.3 is the same as 1 3/10, and if you remember how to do improper fractions, 1 times 10 is 10, add the 3, it's 13. So the decimal of 1.3 can also be written as a fraction or a ratio with a number on the top and a number on the bottom, numerator and denominator. Same thing with any other type of decimal like this. The first place after the decimal is tenths, the second place is hundredths, so that decimal equals 7/100. Okay, and as many spaces as you go up, you just add zeros in your denominator. So in other words, if you had 3 spaces, that would be over 1,000 because it's tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So the bottom number is 1,000. So just to clarify, decimals will also qualify as a rational number. Okay. Previously, we talked about absolute values. Negative and positive are opposites. Difference versus distance. Distance is always a positive number, while difference means actually subtracting. Absolute values are also always positive numbers because they are the distance from 0. Okay, so that's just a quick review of some of the basics of rational numbers. Now, the main topic here is going to be multiplying and dividing negative numbers. It is actually so simple. The rule is if you have two rational numbers that have the same sign, either both negative or both positive, and you are multiplying them or dividing them, your answer will be positive. Okay, obviously 3 times 2 is going to be a positive 6. So, but where you're talking about same signs is when we have negatives. A -3 times a -4 equals a positive 12. So, let's just do a couple examples. Multiply and divide negative numbers. -10 times -2. Well, you can do the numbers first if you like. 10 times 2 is 20. A negative times a negative, they are the same sign as each other, so your answer is positive. So your answer is 20. Negative times negative is positive. Okay, so whatever else you might have here, a fourth, -4 times a -1/2. You go across the top for 1, across the bottom for 8, just a normal multiplying of fractions. And when you know negative times negative is positive, then you leave it in its positive state. This is the same thing with dividing. -20 divided by -4. 20 divided by 4 is 5. Negative divided negative is positive. Okay, it is super simple. And whatever rule applies to multiplying negative numbers also applies to dividing negative numbers. So that's what's really nice about it. So this is multiplying same sign and getting a positive answer. This one is dividing same sign and getting a positive answer. Okay, the other thing that might happen is when you multiply or divide different signs, in that case the answer is negative. Let me show you a couple examples of that. So, different signs, -10 times a +3. So 10 times 3 is 30. One negative and one positive are being multiplied. Multiply different signs, which means one negative and one positive. The answer is negative. Okay. So another one that could be division. Of course, these are simple math because I'm just giving examples of the signs, but it would apply to any other types of problems. -100 divided by a +10 is dividing different signs, so my answer is negative. 100 divided by 10 is 10. Negative divided by positive is negative. My answer is -10. So, there is a neat little slogan type of thing that a student actually told me about, and many students probably have heard it somewhere. This is called the Dorito Man. To remember the rules for multiplying and dividing, it's only for multiplying and dividing negative numbers. If you think of the Dorito Man's face, he's got 2 eyes and he's got a plus sign for a smile. If 2 negatives are being multiplied or divided, that's these 2 come out of the triangle, or that's the 2 that you're using, then your answer will be whatever is the other sign on the Dorito Man's face. So when you have a negative times a negative, you're going to have a positive answer. When you have a negative divided by a negative, you're going to have a positive answer. Okay? Same thing with different signs. A negative and a positive. If you have a negative times a positive, what's left is what your answer will be, so it means that your answer will be negative. So, positive times negative gives a negative answer. Positive divided by a negative gives a negative answer. So, maybe the Dorito Man face will help some people. As far as a number line, it's not as easy to do multiplying and dividing on a number line the way that we showed for adding and subtracting. So really, that's just all it is for multiply and divide. Remember, if the signs are both negative, it's going to be positive. I kind of think of it like 2 negatives cancel out and become positive. Different signs, meaning one positive and one negative, the answer is negative. It's almost like the negative is stronger and overrides the positive. Just whatever kind of mnemonic or phrase or slogan you can think of, that's something that comes to my mind. So a negative times a negative is positive. Also a negative divided by a negative is positive. Different signs, a negative and a positive, either multiplied or divided, the negative overrules and you use the negative. Dorito Man might be a quicker way to think of it. Cover the 2 signs that are being used in your problem, and your answer will be whatever sign is remaining. Okay? All right, so really, that's about it. And if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call or text me. I hope this has been helpful, and have a lovely day.